Ignore your lying eyes. Me sitting here recording this video is not true. I've already passed away. I've been gone for a couple days now since this 90-degree heat has hit, because I was told that there's no way we can survive in 90-degree heat without air conditioner. I get that kind of stuff all the time, and it amazes me that people believe that you have to have these things. I'll get more into that in just a minute. So I wanted to show you our chicken coop that we're working on. We use this IBC tank. I've showed you this several times. I think I even showed it to you yesterday. It was a $50 tank, and Carolyn's been working on it, getting it cleaned up, getting some of this old glue out of here. We'll be able to sweep up the rest of the chips now and get it out. Everything's dry, so we'll probably put this down there tomorrow. I am working when it's not so hot out. So tonight I'm gonna rearrange the chicken run. So half of the chickens, these little chickens, can have half the chicken run, and the other half can have the other half of the chicken run. And then we'll put this in, and they can have a chicken coop to sleep in at night. There's a little, I'll put the lid back on. There's a little slidey door thing that we've kind of jury rigged into there. Now, chickens like to roost. They'd like to have a stick to sit on. In the chicken coop, the actual chicken coop, I use grapevines from the trees. You might be able to see grapevines hanging from that tree right there. I just cut them out, and then I screwed them in, and there was little curves and different things that they could use just like a real branch. So I went with that idea here, and I used just a small tree, sapling or whatever. I didn't really want to cut it, but I couldn't find anything else. The grapevines were too high up. I got them all trimmed up because they were killing the trees. So I put those in. All I had to do was cut a hole in the bin and run it through, and then I just tied it off with a piece of wire. That keeps it pretty secure. I had to get it low enough that while they're small birds, they can still get up there, but big enough that when they get taller, they'll still clear it without hitting their head or having to stoop underneath it. I don't think this is going to be big enough for all 22 chickens as they get bigger, but for now, it's plenty of room. It's much bigger than what they've got now. We've got 2 crates, basically, that Carolyn made. You've seen them in the past. And we got a roost in there, a little PVC pipe. They're just starting to get a little too big for that now, and they're starting to fight a little bit. So I want to get them out probably by tomorrow. So like I said, today I'll get the chicken run set up. I'll start working on that maybe 8 o'clock. Hopefully I can get that done within an hour. It won't be hard. There's already wire in it. But I want to make sure the chickens are in bed so I don't have to fight with the chickens while I'm trying to get all that done. That will be a challenge. I've been thinking about things quite a bit about all that I've done here on the property like that. Just taking things that we've got on hand. Of course, I didn't have the IBC tank, but just things that we can find cheap or free, or find things like that little tree limb there, and seeing what we can do to make it work for us. And then the things that I have done all by myself. I like to think about Charles Ingalls, because that's who my mind always goes to, because I watched him as I was growing up. But Charles Ingalls had to do a lot of things by himself. He didn't have a lot of help. As a matter of fact, he had 3 daughters. I mean, eventually they adopted a kid, but the whole time, I mean, it was not like he had a bunch of boys around to help him do all the chores around the house. So I don't know if that's possible. I know that back in the day, people had a lot of children to help them on the farm, take care of things. I've done all this by myself, but we have minimized our life, and that's key, I think, to being able to do that. So we have this little tiny house. I built that by hand, all by myself. Carolyn helped me with one wall. She didn't have to. I asked her, hey, you want to help me with that wall? And before I realized, wait a minute, I want to build this by myself, it was already up. And then the shower. We bought that plastic shower assembly, and there was no way to put that together by yourself. I mean, that was an absolute 2-person job. Even though the instruction says 1 person could do it, there was no way. You had to have 1 person holding the stick while the other person was sliding on the panel. It was terrible. I'm surprised we actually got it put together. So that was the only 2 things I had needed help on. Now, Carolyn put all the pallet wood walls up. We've seen that before. We got pallet woods that we bought, and she put it on the walls. It's very pretty. But she wanted to do that. It's not that I couldn't do it. I probably would have used drywall, but she wanted to use this pallet wood. And I bet she had it up within, I don't know, 4 or 5 days. It didn't take very long. But everything else I had to do on my own. I had to learn how to do it and then do it on my own. Somebody mentioned the other day that, I was telling you that I had a lot of rocks out on the property, and they said, hey, building material. That is one of the things that I try to stay away from, is things that I think is just going to be way too challenging for me. I have to be able to know how to do it. And I'm not good with metal, for example. I can't weld. I mean, I've welded a few things in my life, but I'm not very good at it. I've not got the tools or the knowledge, so I stay away from welding. I try to do everything with wood. And I've been pretty successful throughout my life, building little things here and there out of wood. I remember I built a salt spreader for the back of my lawnmower out of an old drill, battery operated drill box that I built, and it had a little grass seed spreaders. I just do things like that all the time, just putting little things together, and I don't need a welder. I think there's something to say about living primitively. Now, the other day I was telling you that one of the key factors to being able to do this is I didn't have to build to code. When we built this tiny house, we built it on a trailer frame. There was just too many obstacles in the way to build it to any code. So we built it on a trailer frame under code requirements, under the size, I should say. So it was under 200 square feet, and we're like 196 or something like that. And then we built it on a trailer frame, which made it even better. We didn't have to build it on code on a trailer frame either. I was able to take a lot of shortcuts. Well, when lumber prices were so high, it was nice to be able to take shortcuts. And then we were able to use pallet wood. I'm not sure that the code would have let us use pallet wood. Just different things. Solar panels. Heck, there's probably not even a code to that. They'd want to come out and have some experts I'd have to hire, and who knows. So being able to do things by yourself, I think, is critical, especially what's coming. I hear a lot of preppers saying you're going to have to build a community. Well, communities can turn on you. If you got more than they do, they're going to come and get you. So I try to learn how to do as much as possible on my own. That way I have the ability, if something were to happen. The firewood. This is the thing that I find most impressive about myself. I'm very proud of this. This is my retirement plan. This should last us the rest of my life. And if not, it'll be really close. I might fill in some of the gaps over the next few years. I think I used 3 truckloads this year. So 3 truckloads is 1 cord. Maybe 2 truckloads. I use that back wall of firewood, and there's still a lot of that back wall left. So it's not like I used a lot. So if I can fill it up with 3 truckloads, I can go around finding free firewood. And 3 truckloads is nothing to do. I mean, look at everything that we've done. Now, we didn't use technology. This is key. The most technology we used was a chainsaw and this. This is a manual log splitter. Carolyn used this a lot. But I mean, that's not like a lot of technology. And I was talking to Carolyn about this, and she said, a few years ago, she didn't have one of these. She split it with a maul, just like I split with a maul. So between that manual log splitter and a maul, we split this entire wood pile. Plus there's another big wood pile down there. There's probably another cord down there. We got some over here in front of the house. I think we have 13 or 14 cords. Doing 3 truckloads would take us maybe 2 days with that manual log splitter and a maul. We did it by ourselves. Imagine that. I'm going to be able to heat my home with all this firewood for the rest of my life. And it took us a summer to accomplish it. And it's not like we killed ourselves with it. I mean, the worst part about doing it was going and get it. There was one spot that was on a hill, and I had to go up and down with 1 piece of wood at a time, going up and down this hill. It was a lot of firewood. I can't remember how much we ended up getting. That was the worst part about it, is just going and getting it. But once we had it, splitting it. The reason I bring all this up is because people keep telling me that what they can't do or what I can't do. Just this morning I got a comment saying, I'd die without an air conditioner. Well, unless you have a medical condition, and there are people who will say that they do, no, you won't die. Seriously, you won't die. Your body is designed to tolerate heat. And it's actually better designed, in my opinion, to tolerate heat than cold. Once you get hypothermia, you're pretty much done, unless you can get warm. But with heat, as long as you keep hydrated, that's the key. You got to keep hydrated and you got to keep sweating, you'll be fine. You can sweat all day. Now the problem is if you start sweating more than you're drinking, then you're going to dehydrate, then you're going to go into heat exhaustion and all those heat related illnesses, and it can happen. But just keep drinking water. But the thing is I hear so many people say, oh no, you don't want to drink too much water. You can get water poisoning. Haven't you ever heard of that? Look it up. Yeah, you can get water poisoning, but as long as you're putting electrolytes in with your water, you're not going to get water poisoning. Water poisoning is you're drinking so much water that your nerves, you know, all those electric impulses that your body has, can't fire anymore because it's so diluted. So if you're eating a little bit of salt or sugar, electrolytes, Gatorade, the only time I've ever heard of anybody really getting water poisoning was there was this contest, radio contest. It was on radio. And the contest was to drink water, and whoever drank the most water won. Well, this girl called in after the contest. She won the contest. She called in, and they're talking to her, and it, you know, radio show. And she said, yeah, I don't feel too good. There's something wrong with me. And they're razzing with her. Yeah, good job and all that. Well, she ended up dying from water poisoning because she drank so much water so quickly, she diluted the electrolytes. And I think that's the problem, is we hear of one thing. And that's the reason you can't do it, is because of that one thing. So if you can take a look at that super thanks button down there, I'd really appreciate it. So if I can inspire you to get rid of the technology so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.